Mark, you mentioned that you have changed the classification. What has changed in the way you gather data since the last census, particularly in relation to question number 18?
Well, the census form is actually the same census form that we used in 2006. So apart from the way that we code things and in doing things that I've just described around understanding the communities better and learning about how people have responded to the census and how we can most appropriately code that information to ensure that we actually accurately capture the essence of what the people who are in Australia and the communities that we have. In terms of what's really changed about the way we go out and collect a census this time, probably the most significant change would be the e-census, the online version of the census form, allowing people to fill out the census online. And if people choose to do that, then the collector doesn't even need to come back and retrieve a form. They actually get a text message saying that household's already completed the census and the data's already back safe with us and there's no need to do anything further. It is the second time we've used e-census, but it's the first time we're really pushing it and expecting to see a very large response across Australia for using that.
Do I hear that you encourage people to use the e-census?
Absolutely. We think it's a very good way to fill out a census form. It helps people fill out the form as they do it, making sure they've responded to the appropriate questions and everything. So it provides a little bit better an experience for the user rather than just a piece of paper that they're filling out with a pen. Other things we're doing is we've started engaging with communities much earlier this time around than we have in the past, and we have more support material, more in-language information materials, more in-language advertisements, and more collectors who can speak, bilingual collectors and special collectors with multilingual skills in more areas than we ever have before. So we're excited about the level of support that we feel we're able to offer people filling in the census form, which is an English form. The census form is always in English. And so we try to offer a lot of different ways to support people to fill out their census form. And that obviously includes our helpline, and it also includes our census form filling sessions, which we're offering in a lot of places where people can go and get help in language to fill out a census form. So we're hoping that everybody can get somewhere and get the help they need to be part of the census and fill it out for their situation.
We noticed that in question 18, you can have more than one ancestry. Question is, wouldn't that lead to double counting?
Ancestry and collecting ancestry information is a complex process, and there's no perfect way to do it. We collect up to 2 ancestries for each person, and in our basic community profile we actually publish 2 different totals in that table. The first total gives the number of responses to the ancestry question, and the second total gives the number of people who responded to the ancestry question. So in that total you can see the number of people, and there's no double counting. In the other total that will generally be higher because some people report more than one ancestry, and that shows the number of different ancestries that people have reported. Now, the way that that data can be used very effectively is by a researcher who wants to know a specific ancestry and how many people in Australia or in a given region of Australia have reported that many ancestry, have reported having that ancestry. So Sri Lankan Tamil being one example, somebody wants to know how many people in Australia have reported having Sri Lankan Tamil ancestry, whether it's one of 2 ancestries or whether it's their only ancestry. A researcher is able to pull out that information. Obviously, no individual will ever be identified through that process. So no one will ever be able to pull out just one person or identifiable information about anybody who reports any given ancestry in Australia.
Ready? Yeah. Mark, a number of Tamils in Australia are here because of the fear of persecution in some form or the other. A few of them openly express concern that their response may adversely affect their relatives they have left behind. Are their concerns valid?
I think it's very important that we're very clear on this particular topic. There is absolutely no reason for those concerns, and the reason is simply that the ABS can never legally release information. We are legally bound to hold all our private information that we collect through the census absolutely private. So nobody in any other country, not the Department of Immigration, nobody in Australia or overseas will ever be able to identify anybody in the census or see individual responses to census information. And for that reason, nobody can ever be adversely affected through anything that you put on the form or I put on the form, because that information will never be released. The way the information is used is simply that at a community level and at a level where nobody can be identified, we use that information to make the decisions that are so important to reflect everyone in Australian society. And that's why we need people to fill out their census form honestly, so that the services, infrastructure, funding and all those decisions can be based on accurate information about that community. But no individual situation or ever can have that adverse effects on anybody else, whether they're relatives, friends, anyone, will never be able to get that information, and it won't have any effect on people overseas or in Australia.
Thank you for that assurance. What happens after August 9th, when data is gathered all around Australia? How do you publish the data gathered, and roughly when should people expect the results to be out? We
will publish all our data starting from June 2012 next year. It's about 10 months after we've finished collecting, or we collect the census, and that's because of the size of the project that we're undertaking, where we are collecting from almost 10 million households across Australia, and all of those forms and each individual response on all those forms, of which there's over 700 million that we collect, we then need to process, and we need to confidentialise and make sure that everything we release is accurate and appropriate and coded correctly to in all those ways that we've been discussing. So that takes a long time, and that process is important that we follow it through properly. And when we release that information in 2012, we put it on our website. It's free to go and have a look at. There's a whole range of ways that people can access the information, whether it's quick tables about their area, or whether it's more customised maps and comprehensive tables about themes or other things that are available from the census. That's available there, and if people want to know more or have any trouble accessing that, they can give one of our information and referral service staff a call at the time and find out about that. Now, that's something that's all coming, and we'll have plenty of time to talk about that, but right now we're obviously very focused on the task of collecting that information, and we really need everybody in the community to fill out a census form, be a part of the count, get on board and make sure we get accurate information.
So talking about the collection of data, if anyone is interested in finding out more about the census and the process, where can they go? Where can they get additional information if they are looking for it?
A very good place to go will be our website at abs.gov.au/census, and you can access a range of information there about how the census works, what we're doing and why we do a census. If you want to talk to somebody, you can give us a call on 1300 338 776 and speak to someone there. Now those lines are open from the 18th of July through to the 5th of September from 8:30 a.m. to 8 p.m. 7 days a week. So give us a call if you want to talk about the census.
Thank you very much
for sharing all this information with us. Do you have anything more to add to the Tamil audience?
I just want to reassure everybody that the census is a very positive thing that we do in Australia, and it's a very positive thing for every community. It's a very good way of making sure your community is heard and recognised in Australia and in the area that you live, so that your needs can be met and understood and represented in all manner of decision making across the community. So please get involved, please be counted, and please make sure your community is counted and represented.
Thank you very much for your time.
My pleasure.